Unacademy. Let's crack it.
1987, something of significance happened between India and Sri Lanka. What was that?
It was a code signed between our then Prime Minister Shri Rajiv Gandhi and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka.
What was that agreement about?
It was about the autonomy and the rights of the Sri Lankan Tamils in Sri Lanka.
The Indian Army went there to implement the peace accord.
Yes, sir.
It landed up fighting LTTE.
Yes, sir.
How did that happen?
So it is because of the peculiar scenario the Indian Army was placed in. So it went there to ensure that there is no conflict between the LTTE and the Sri Lankan forces. But Sri Lankan forces were keeping their bay. But LTTE started the offensive, and then bound by the agreement, we had to ensure that the violence is not boiling out, and we had to take up guards against the LTTE in Sri Lanka.
That's not really accurate. We read about that, but there was some major fault line in the whole thing, you know. Who all were there party to the signatory, who were signatory to the agreement?
The leader of the LTTE, then leader, Prabhakaran.
No, that's the problem. He was not party to the agreement. The agreement was signed between Rajiv Gandhi, that is India, and
President of Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Jayawardene.
The affected party, which would have implemented or not implemented, was never signed it.
Sorry
So
for
it was
that.
kind of forced on him. Now, China, can you tell us the Chinese worldview, perception of the worldview, and how are they actually shaping the world to what they want it to be?
So the Chinese perception of the world comes from its own strategic culture, which somehow views China as a middle kingdom or a middle kingdom syndrome, where the rise of China is different from other countries of the world. That is, I mostly relate it in contradiction to the idea of Indian idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where we imagine us as a part of the world. Currently, the way China is shaping the world, I'd say yes, we are seeing the world in a chaos or more of an apolarity kind of scenario. But not to say that China is emerging, but majorly it is disrupting the world, breaking the rules-based order that has been established. Also, not following the international obligation and treaty agreements, and more of an aggression kind of.
But how is that any different from what the Americans have done? They went into Iraq. That war was never approved by United Nations.
Yes, sir.
They went to Vietnam, it was never approved by United Nations. What is happening in Syria, United Nations is not able to change anything. So China is only doing what everybody else has been doing. Your comments?
My comments to it would be still with the US, some parties were there in line. But with China, we see more of a wolf warrior kind of diplomacy. Also, the way it is increasing its influence in its own backyard or in its own neighborhood. That was not the case with the US, where it somehow ensured that the regional peace is established, or because of the Monroe Doctrine, the regional balance was there with the US.
Is it? Or they have actually sent every region of the world into turmoil? Middle East, Iraq,
So I think
Somalia,
that is
Afghanistan.
Yes, sir. That is the result of the power being concentrated into a unipolar actor. But the way the power transition is happening to China, that is more disruptive in the way it happened to the US as a result of the World War II. Also, there was Russia as well in that bipolar scenario which emerged. And after unipolar scenario which emerged in 1990s, it was not that much a case as we see with China.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Kanika, you have graduated in PSIR.
Yes, sir.
So I thought you will be more suitable for Indian Foreign Service. We have put it at number 3 reference. Why so?
So Indian Foreign Service is a very good service where I would have got opportunity to be an ambassador to visit different countries and present the proud which I feel as an Indian to other countries. But I felt myself more suitable to Indian Administrative Service, more so because it was a childhood dream which I envisaged from the beginning as an only child to make my parents proud and coming from a state like Haryana. Then when I entered into college, though I took up political science, I realized that I am more approachable, more inclined towards interacting with people, to ensure that there is a better society, an inclusivity, equitability established. And thus I found that yes, the choice that I have made for myself to get into IAS